No more doubts, I'm feeling alive. With every mile I leave the past behind, saying drive. This is my state of mind.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Sanity podcast, where neuroscience meets everyday well-being. Your host today, Nosarime Abe, and today we'll be looking at something that is quite magical, and it happens in everyday living, the way we move our bodies, and how it relates to mental health. And right now, even as we're going through the season of holiday, trying to decompress from stress and also strategize for a fresh start for the new year. We are joined by Dr. Sloka Iyenga, a neuroscientist and also quite fascinating, a dancer, who is there to reveal to us how movement can literally rewire our brain. And so sit back, enjoy this discussion, and thank you so much, Dr. Sloka, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting. Really, two topics, dance and the brain, that I love talking about. So thank you for having me.
Great. So to start with, let us just go down to why dance. Dance is a form of movement we all know. But what is special about dance? What really inspire you, one person as a person, to talk about dance and relate it to neuroscience? What is so special about the dancing, the movements in dancing? Let me put it that way. So you have the dance and flow.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I mean, one dance is present in all cultures. We all, no matter what culture you come from, there is some kind of movement dance practice that you do. Maybe it could be, I grew up in India. There are dances that we do for festivals. There are dances that are done more formally. So dance is, in a way, in some form, universal. When we think about what's happening in the brain, dance is one of those things that really affect and really use pretty much every part of your brain. So we can think of listening to music, that the part of the brain that is important for listening to music, the melody, rhythm, responding to rhythm. When you dance, I'm sure we all know this, right? Our breath, we have to regulate our breath while we are dancing. The dance form that I perform and practice is called Bharatanatyam. It's a 2,000-year-old Indian dance form, and it's also a way of expression. So in addition to moving your body, to breathing, to responding to rhythm, it's also an expressive kind of an art form, which is why I am biased, but I think it does affect every part of your brain.
Thank you so much, Slokan, for that. So you are a neuroscientist, so let's bring in the neuroscientist part into it. Let's get down into the science behind this. What really happens in our brain when we dance?
Yeah, so movement of all kinds affects the brain, and that can be dance, but it doesn't have to be. We have heard of forest bathing, so literally taking a walk outside, walking. Any sort of physical activity affects the brains and affect our brains, and this happens in many ways. There's a bunch of neurotransmitters. They're released when we move, when we dance. There is also it's called the neurotrophic factor. So basically, this is a chemical that helps in generation of new neurons, in making the neurons that are already there healthy, and this is called it has a long name called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, short for BDNF. So moving releases BDNF, and that is important for health of the brain. Many times we dance socially, and so there's a social aspect of dance as well. We know that being with people, moving with people, dancing with people is good. So in many, many ways, be it the neurotransmitters, maybe it's the neurotrophic factors like BDNF, maybe it's a socialization. In dance, if you have been dancing for a while, then there's also what happens with practice and dancing over time. That said, in order to get these benefits, you can dance, how much ever time you want. And I know we'll talk a little bit about it later, but really it's one of those things that holistically enhances the brain in many ways through many mechanisms.
Great. Thank you again, Sloka. So what you're saying essentially is we're carrying this natural pharmacy in our brain, the neurotransmitter, the neurotrophic factor that we get to kind of activate when we move our body in a rhythmic way. And I think that's quite interesting to know. And thank you for sharing that with us. What if I don't know how to dance? There are a couple of people that maybe some say it's the effect that when music is based this way, they dance this other way. What does it have any effect on how? I'm just trying to say, how does this rhythmic movement really correlate with how much help we can get from dancing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's important also, we could dance, and I'm just this is just a thought or a connection, right? So it is important to know that there are, dancers can also have depressive disorders. So while dance is not a cure, well, nothing is a cure, but it does help, decrease stress. For example, so you talked about this natural pharmacy, moving and being with people, dancing. Does decrease stress, and through that, perhaps we're in a positive frame of mind. Perhaps we make choices for ourselves and for people around us, and not I have the privilege of working with older adults, and many, I've heard this so much, right? Well, I'm not a dancer, I'm not an artist, and to that I will say everyone can dance, everyone can create art. So it is really something that in your own way, we all have that instinct inside of us. So we may not look like, right, people who are on stage. We may not look like people who are dancing professionally. But that said, this is inherent, an instinct that is within us.
Wow. So let me bring it out this way. We have a lot of folks that are trying to decompress from stress, even as we're going through this holiday period, and even the holiday itself is some sort of comes with its own stress. So, and we're also trying to unwind and kind of reset for the new year. 2025. So, how do our listeners? I know a couple of people are trying to make some resolutions and also try to create some strategies for the new year. How do you think dancing, the neuroscience of this dance, or maybe maximizing it, just as you've advised, that this period of holiday you can just get into dancing and just use it to improve or decompress your stress? How do you think it will help to initiate this reset for the new year, even as we
yeah, and this is such a good time, right? Because it is a time of celebration, it is a time for a positive time, but it does come with, or can come with some associations, some kinds of opportunities for stress. And dance for 5 minutes, and it doesn't have to be an hour-long thing that you go to a studio to do. It can be in your living room. Turn on some music and dance. One of the things, just as a way of how the brain helps us create habits, is doing something in the beginning of the day. So say you have 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, just doing it, and that kind of sets your tone for the entire day. If you have an opportunity, of dancing with somebody, amazing. If it's somebody on Zoom, getting just that little bit of push to start your day. That said, if it's in the middle of the day, if it's during lunchtime, but even 5 minutes, even 10 minutes. So know that it doesn't have to be like, an hour-long kind of time at a physical studio. It can be in your living room. It can be any sort of movement that you're doing that you find enjoyable and pleasant.
So now I'll set aside some 5 minutes and I love to dance actually. So get into some cool dancing, but going a little bit more practical. I read some of your research works and some paper you churned out recently about some dancing steps and how it connects to the brain and how it's helping some aged individuals to do something. So I want you to get I want us to get a bit more practical, and I want you to share some of the some science-backed movements that you think that, or strategies that our listeners might be able to get as tips from this talk, as how best to move the body in a way that will be more beneficial, kind of, if there is anyone like that, if there is any tips you can share with us as a dancer and a neuroscientist.
Sure. The form of dance that I perform, it's called Bharatanatyam. It has a long name. We don't have to remember the name. But one of the unique parts of this dance is that it is really an act of communication. That said, that as well as the fact that it can be done any way. So it can be done seated, it can be done standing, you can move, you can, however you are on this particular day. One of the things that we have a vocabulary of in this dance is that of gestures. So, I always tell people it is like a language. So we use our hands. So do you want to try some? Do you want to try some movement? Okay. Uh, I am always cold. So as we get, and again, this can be done seated as you're watching TV. However, so let's get some warmth into our hands. Imagine you're applying your favorite lotion. Do you have a favorite lotion?
Yes, I do. So, but right now, no. So,
But in general, right? It could be, we can think of that smell. I love lavender, anything to do with lavender. So we're just getting each finger, and again, can be done seated, can be done on the bed, on the couch, and we're getting each finger, just getting some attention and energy, making sure not to forget the fingertips. And as we get some warmth, let's get that onto our face, so this is a tool that's really available to all of us. We don't need to go to a special place. You don't need to go to a gym. It's really, in you. And as we get that little bit of warmth onto your eyes, your forehead, we'll work a little bit on our hands. And I have my palms outstretched, and you're just getting each finger towards you. Again, if this is uncomfortable or if this hurts, you don't do it. But again, this is getting a little bit of movement in the opposite direction. And in Bharatanatyam, we use our hands as gestures. So for example, let's try a few. The first gesture that we do is all my fingers are outstretched and my thumb is bent. So yeah, perfect, right? So this is a gesture. It has a name called pataka. Pataka means flag. So you can think of this literally as a flag. How could we use this gesture? Oh, I think you did. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, right. So it is probably a flag that's in the wind, maybe water. So it's the same gesture that can be used in many ways. It can be water that's on the beach, or it can be very gentle ripples of water. We can use this to say no, right? So I don't want this. And through these gestures, I can use this to say me, my name is Shloka, and it depends on context. So for example, even something as simple as you, right? I can say you, oh my God, it's you, right? With surprise. Or I can say you, right? Like as sarcastically. In that way, this is a language, and we can use this language of gestures, which is accessible to all of us, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
The gestures with our face. So for example, if I'm saying you, I'm so surprised, right? My eyes are a little bit big, and you have exactly, right? I see it in your face. You have that expression of surprise. Versus if I'm not, if I'm kind of mad at somebody, right? And you have that eye roll, right? It's like, what are you doing here, right? So exactly, I see it in your face, and these are all universal expressions, right? These are, although this dance form comes from India, the expressions and the things we talk about are universal. So through dance, we also think about this dance as a mirror to our lives. So everything that happens in our lives happens in this dance. So there's happy times, there's times for celebrations, there are sad times, and all of these are represented in the dance, which is, I think, I'm biased, but a really strong, unique aspect of Bharatanatyam.
So great again.
Awesome.
Oh, so
Just
great.
with hands.
I'm sure this, by the time listeners look into this video, just try to slow it down around us and try to get those move, those expressions. And I'm going to try this again, and I will definitely follow up with you, Sloka. And if you need to follow up with Sloka, just search her name. She's very popular. And on LinkedIn, you get to communicate with her one-on-one. And if you have a follow-on question, let me know. I will reach out and connect you with Dr. Sloka Iyenga. She is a PhD holder in neuroscience, and she decided to still take dance along with it. So thank you so much for those tips, Dr. Sloka. So again, as before we wrap up, I know you have some tips or some take-home message for us, and I want you to just use this time to spit it out to us and let us know how we can use this rhythmic movement to kind of reset the new year and also decompress in a more easy and very flexible way.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point, right? We want things that are accessible, We may not all have the time to go to a studio, whatever. When stressed, right? One of the things I talked about in the beginning is our breath. And recently, I get very claustrophobic in flight. So, for a variety of reasons, I was placed in by the window, whereas I wanted to be placed by the aisle. Anyways, it was a time of great stress. And, I thought what I tell my students, right, is your breath is a tool that you have. And we can try this here, right? What we'll do is we'll take 4 counts to inhale and 4 counts to exhale. You have all that time. If at any point you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But again, we're using that time. So let's just do that, right? So we inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2. Amazing. 3 and 4. And you can do this if you're seated and if you're really feeling stressed, you can get up. Do this breathing while walking, right? So every 4 steps you take a deep breath in. It can be in your home, it can be outside, anywhere. And every 4 steps. So your breath is really a tool that's available to you. In Bharatanatyam, we also talk a lot about gaze. Our gaze, I always tell people, it's your best friend. So we think of our gaze as something that's very intentional. And again, you can think of your gaze. Let's do a small exercise. So just have, your face and your gaze are active and engaged. And we're just going from side to center and side to center. So again, this is something that is slightly different. We all use our eyes, right, all the time. But let's just try that. So we're going side and center, side and center. Let's add our breath to this. So every time we go to the side, we are taking a deep breath in. Every time we come to the center, we exhale. We go inhale, side, exhale, center, inhale, side, exhale, center, inhale, side, exhale, and inhale and exhale. Again, a few minutes of this, of your moving with your breath, moving with your eyes, can hopefully help kind of reset our system so that the feelings of stress aren't hopefully so strong. Again, taking those short breaks, turning on music, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? And if possible, dancing with others. That's always, you get the social connection, you get the benefits of dance, and that can help reduce anxiety and stress. You can also do a movement with your non-dominant hand. So for example, if you do something with I'm right-handed, doing the same thing with your left hand, right? I mean, that is a little bit harder, but the more we do it, the more it becomes more part of your life. Many things we can do while cooking, while taking the subway, while taking a bus. So the breath, for example, can be done anywhere, and you don't need to have a specific tool, kind of machine or anything. So just making these kinds of things part of your life, right? Like whether it's walking to the bus, whether it's driving, however, but finding ways to incorporate these kinds of small things in your daily life. That was a lot of words, but I hope that helps.
Every bit of the word was resonating, and it's quite incredible.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sloka Inyega, a neuroscientist doubling as a dancer. Thank you for coming to share this mind-blowing insight with us today and telling us how remarkable our brain capabilities can be kind of maximized through some rhythmic movements. Thank you so much, and we hope to learn from you again when we have opportunities to bring you on to tell us more. If you have any more research about dancing and more in-depth thing to share with us, we hope to get you again to speak with us. And folks, you've heard it all, the science behind dancing into 2025. You already have it, and so it's there for you to make do with some of the tips that you've got from this conversation. And so let us move, let us groove, let us give our brain the gift of dance during this holiday season as we're trying to meet with friends. And just as Dr. Sloka said, dancing with friends, dancing with families can also help us to get this great connection and also unwind and reset for the new year. And don't forget to share this to as many people that you feel will need this information. Let us try to unwind and also reset for the new year. And until next time, this is Sanity Drive Podcast, keeping you moving forward towards better mental health. And again, my name is Dr. Neuroscience Abe, and bye for now.
Same drive, I'm on the same drive. life. No more doubts, I'm feeling alive. With every mile I leave the past